are back here for our Halloween tarot experiment, or not experiment, but it's experiment because it's the first time I'm doing this show like this. And with me on Tuesday nights when we do astrology and alchemy, and always a great guest to have on. We just had a huge bang outside my window out here, so that's kind of creepy. I'd like to bring on Paranormal Sarah.
Ooh,
how are you?
I'm so excited. I'm happy because, man, weird paranormal things happen in my realm lately too. So, bring on the ghosts, because seriously, craziness. I love the Freddy look. I love it.
Thank you. I had it. My son actually got me this sweater, and I'm like, I got to actually wear it. So, and then I had the fedora.
I love it. I saw that on your live feed, and I was like, I love it.
I'll do it Tuesday night as well. So for Halloween,
I'm going to dress up on Halloween too, as well. So I can't decide what costume I'm going to use yet, but man, has the energy been crazy this past week? And even today, I mean, Venus in Sagittarius, Moon in Gemini, it's all about understanding and perspective. But that means people are out there burning sigils, leaving behind signs, leaving breadcrumbs, but communication is lacking. So you're probably not hearing the messages you want. You're probably not getting the response, the text, the email that you're waiting for. And in that case, sometimes that's really hard for people. Other times, I kind of like to channel the Southern Oracle or the Judgment Space and remove the mirror, remove the vessel. If you can't stop looking at your phone, put your phone down, walk away.
D says hello from Washington on the water. I got to say, Pacific Northwest. I love the Southeast, but a close second to my favorite places in the world is that whole Pacific Northwest. If I didn't live in the Southeast, that's where I'd live. So I know you do this on your channel, on your shows before you do the the card pulls and stuff. I have never done this live. I do tarot, but I've never done this live. So I thought this would be a cool thing for Halloween. So if people have questions, if you want just a general card, or if you have a question, that is what we'll do tonight. I have for me my steampunk, and I got to get the camera right here.
I was going to say, I've got 3 different decks I can use, but the one I have, you got your steampunk?
I got my steampunk, which is like my deck. That's the one that I feel like I get the best stuff with. But then I have to say this has been really fun. I saw my son loves this store. Spirit Halloween actually sold tarot cards. So I'm like, I got to get them just to see. And they're actually pretty cool. It's like, I got to find a good one here. It is actually kind of a creepy one, but kind of cool. So like the lovers, the succubus, and so like there's like Lilith, the Queen of Wands, and so kind of so I'll pull some Halloween ones too. So if you want a choice, if you prefer my tried and true steampunk or the Halloween one, I will do either one. But the idea here is, if anyone would like a card,
I've got a lot of different decks.
Sarah will pull one, and hopefully between the two, just like when we do the astrology, you can get like the dueling yin and yang astrology stuff.
Are you going to do like the masculine yang and I'll do the yin?
Well, I think just for the fact that I'm the male and you're the female, it'll be the two different, we have different energies, so we'll get different stuff. So you'll get kind of the two sides. So
Jason says, I gotta have one. Says Jason. Jason's one of my favorites.
And he's asking for steampunk. Will my idea flourish and be a lasting success? Remember, don't take these, take this for what it is. This is how we're interpreting things. So don't be all despondent if you get will Jason's idea flourish?
I love that. What a great question too. Will my ideas flourish and have that lasting success?
So
this is a really great time.
Hopefully you guys can see this. I get the 9 of Wands. So for me, how I would appreciate that, I take that actually as a yes, but it's going to be challenging and take lots of hard work. So you got to make sure you have the fortitude to drive it through to conclusion, because it's not going to be necessarily smooth sailing. You're going to have some bumps and there's going to be some challenges, but yeah, you'll get there if you put the work in and are able to persevere against some of those bumps in the road. So I wouldn't expect it smooth, but I do say that as a yes. Let's see what Sarah gets.
Okay. Which I thought was perfect because
Oh, wow.
it's the very next card.
Yeah,
It's the very
901
next
All right,
card.
we're in sync tonight.
But this is the angelic kind of Nephilim deck. So, Jason, this is really also talking about the Lord of Oppression. So, this brings forth Psalms 54, Psalms 41, Psalms 41, I know your name, and now therefore you are mine. This declaration of if you can name it, if you can state it, if you know your intention, that's like the power of a thread or the power of manifestation. And this is man, when I think of the 10, I always think of completion. I think of resolution. When I think of wands, this is fire. This is magic. This is creativity. This is bringing something and a culmination. Finally, having the mantle where you go, yes, this is it. But that also means that it's the beginning, right? Death is only the beginning. So very good. But as far as lasting, that's totally up to you to continue stoking, to continue recycling, and to continue doing. But I would say the succession of 9 to 10 is a really good sign. At least that's how I interpret that one. I don't know about you, Matt.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And the whole succession. So I still think it's consistent. I think your answer is a yes, but there's going to be challenges that you can overcome, but you got to be willing to overcome them. So if you're don't be easily discouraged because it's just persevere. I think Monica asked for one. Monica, do you have a specific question, or do you just want? You don't even have to announce your question as long as you're aware of the question. Yeah, no. So yeah, Monica, you don't have to, but if you have a question, I mean, it can be just a general thing, or if you have a question in your head, or if you want to ask a question.
Whenever I'm doing tarot, I always think of Madame Lenormand, who says it is very important to frame it at least in your own mind. Then that way, the more specific your question to yourself, the more specific the answer can be. So,
and we'll be more generic if we don't know, we'll be more generic on the card, but that's fine. I mean, it's just whatever you're comfortable with. All right, let me see. So I do this a different way. When I do cards this way, and I'm only picking one, I hold the deck. So I know everybody does things a little bit differently. I ask the question and then feel like where it wants me to cut it. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. All right, Monica, yours is. You should be happy, at least for how I view this. I got to get the angle right. Wheel of Fortune.
Ooh.
So I take this as generally a wildly positive card. This is what appears to be a random event that will be very fortuitous for you. So whatever your question was, I view it as something kind of out there, something that won't be expected. That'll just kind of, it's like being in the right place at the right time. You'll be in the right place at the right time. And if anybody that follows these things asks about reverse, this deck actually doesn't really do reverse. So for steampunk ones, I don't do reverse cards. So obviously that would have a little bit of a different feeling to it. But so yeah, so I would expect, whatever your question was, kind of maybe right place, right time, kind of some, I'll say random, because I don't think there's anything random to it. Events will put you in the right place for that.
And I love this, and I love that this is live so that people can see this, the synchronicity of the language that you said. Because the card that I got for you, Monica, was the universe, and it is at 10-10-1, right? So this is 21. It's kind of the equivalent of like the world, kind of those bigger encompassing major arcana. But the great one of the night of time. How many times did you mention that word? And on this card, I have written time, the deity Tau, Saturn, and different parts of the sacred geometry where this applies. Man, this is very important to note. Time and place. Earth magic, but earth magic because of where you are and how that juxtaposes with where you are not. The universe. You are here. I am you. Like that awareness, it's a singularity, but it's entanglement at the same time. The gap, the void, the bridge. as you're going across the bridge, you realize that you're anchored between point A and point B, and eventually to go to one or the other, there is that release or letting go. The great one of the night of time, that it's going to be in time. It's going to be in timing. It's going to be in divine timing. And kind of that awareness, I think, is so interesting. So, Monica, very relevant and very, very cool. So, whatever your question was, time is very important and relevant.
So we have a dual question from D, so we'll handle those, and we can handle a lot of questions here. So keep going. We have another one from Monica, and I do want to share with Kendra. Yeah, so we'll give you some contract information, Kendra, but we both do private readings, so feel free to contact us, and we could even. We work together on lots of other stuff, so we've never done like dual tarot, but that doesn't mean we couldn't. So
right. Wouldn't be a problem at all.
So let me, I was going to mix it up and have you go, but since we're in such good synergy here, let's just keep it going. I'll go first with this deck. And then, so this was Dee's question. Now, Dee, I'm going to do yours as 2. You had the question and then you had the timing. So I'm going to do the question first and then I'll do the timing.
Okay.
So on the question, I think it was about, would you have to move at the building cells? I got 5 of Cups. Now, I want to say on this one, the symbolism is important on this one. If you see the empty cups are to his left, the past, where he's facing, and he's not seeing kind of the sympathetic barmaid with the full cups to the right, which is kind of the future. So I kind of view this as being sad looking back, but not seeing the opportunity going forward. So I don't know exactly how you view the moves, but I would feel from a looking back perspective, it may be sad how this will play out, but there's good thing lying ahead for you. So it's not necessarily a overall bad thing. Just a look forward, don't look back kind of thing. Now, as far as timing, let me pull and see if I got any additional information on that. I get 2 of Wands, which I kind of, if you can see the 2 wands here, it's kind of like the person kind of vacillating between 2 decisions to make. So I have a feeling that a decision you're going to have to make related to that is going to drive your timing. So there's going to be you're not going to be forced in one direction. It's going to be like an either or, but which path you choose will drive some of the timing on that.
So interesting. So I've got my 2 cards here. The first one that you pulled, I don't even remember what it was, but I was listening to you. And so the first one that I pulled, D, is the foolish man, the fool, the very first card of the major arcana, the 0, the innocent but naive, right? That you're doing something, but you might be doing it for the first time in the first scenario in this first space, and that typically you are not that. Usually you're very experienced and well prepared and capable, but this might suggest, a newness, an uncertainty, the spirit of ether, which I love how this card kind of illustrates what it is that we are excited about, the prancingness, the boldness, the curiosity. It's a really good space emotionally, but rationally, it can be different, right? It can be something that we need to think more about or have that moderation of thought and perspective. And then my second card.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Another
right?
2.
Which is and you can kind of see I have all of my Bible verses. This is Psalms 71. Okay. And we have deities and what it means in this particular space. Lord of harmonious change. I like that. The 2 of Pentacles, the 2 of Earth, Earth, Archangel Uriel, teaching us what it is that we can be silent and peaceful and placid and quiet about, what it is that we might need to discern more about. And this is a Capricorn energy. So this is very much that teacher, that leader, the number 31 coming through, and Psalms 71:16, and also Psalms 33:4. So if you find yourself interested in bibliomancy, checking that out. But I love the image of that snake, kind of the is it the Oberus? And this this too. Balance, teeter-totter, having both the inhale and exhale. Very important to this move. And as long as you have that, I think it'll be wonderful.
Okay, I'm trying to keep track on these. I'll scroll up and stuff, but I know Monica asked about, I think, relationship going in the right direction. So let's pull another Monica card for relationship going in the right direction.
Monica.
And I get, wow.
What'd you get?
This is interesting.
What?
You're going to see very similar. I got, again, the Five of Cups. So very similar to what I had said before then. It's, again, if you look at the symbolism, looking at the empty to the left, which is the past, not seeing the full ones to the right. So again, I would say you can have sadness if you look backwards, but the best days and the best times lie ahead of you. So I would say in the terms of a relationship, particularly, I think you said kind of a new relationship where it's going in the, don't let past issues with relationships color or harm your current relationship, because you're on a good path going forward. Don't let past baggage impact you. I hope that makes sense. Holy shit. We are in sync tonight.
That's why I was like,
we did not stage this.
Well, and I love the way you described it. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, it's an odd number. You know? High five. Punch in the face. It's a full hand. So I remember my grandmother describing this to me. It's halfway there. So is it half full or half empty? This is going to be so important. 5. If you should decide to celebrate, to start over, to move again, take that with you or not. This is an area to let your baggage go if you don't need it. And cups is always emotion. It's always water. Right now, man, we have a lot of Scorpio vibes out there. It's a water energy. Matt, we love our Scorpios. And my dad's a Scorpio, and he never wants to tell me the truth about anything related to his health. I have to squeeze it out of him. Lord of the loss of pleasure. Man, if I can't have this or go on my hunting trips or do that, then what the hell am I living for? Right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't back yourself into a self-destructive corner over your heart. Be careful. Otherwise, you'll be just fine. Man, I can't believe that.
I know, this is very cool. They've all been pretty much on sync. So we have, as far as I know, I think we have 3 in the queue here. So I'll try to keep track. We had a question about, I want to say it was Lucky Stone was asking about job. Let me go back up and see. Bear with me. Please be patient. Well, should I pursue a new job? The company left, asked me to return. It seems too good to be true. Let's see. Let's see what I get.
Who is it? What's the name?
Lucky Stone.
Lucky. Okay.
And I get lucky. This is an interesting one. Page of Wands. Now, some purists here, Micah, I view this a little differently. I know a lot of times, the cards are viewed as people. I view the pages as messengers. So I view this as a message of wands. And so I view wands as kind of initiative, action, opportunities. So honestly, that you got it almost to me seems to describe what you just asked. So let me pull another one to kind of get more detail on this, because that seems to be almost the card to describe your question. Let me get a little more detail on this. Hopefully Sarah gets you something better than me. The moon. Moon, I always view the moon as, it's kind of, whereas the sun like enlightens and shines the light and makes things clear, the moon is more foggy and you don't know things. And so it's almost like if you had that magic 8 ball and it said, ask another question kind of thing. So I
Repeat, please
apologize,
try again
Lucky.
later.
Those are 2 questions. My first question basically just repeated your question, that you're getting a message of opportunity. And then I asked for clarity, and basically I get the critical information is not clear right now. So hopefully
Okay.
Sarah's got better.
Well, I only pulled one. I can pull a second one, though, because I have a feeling that I want to stay in pace. The Princess of Cups. So now keep in mind, this deck, because it is the Hermetic order, kind of is doing that Lilith, Luciferian kind of vibe of the feminine yin. So what would be a page or knight is a princess. So here, only I have the Princess of Cups. Has this weird orca, dolphin, look, breasts out, mermaid, siren, and Princess of the Palace of the Flood. Cups, the messenger of cups. Oh my gosh, did you hear that so-and-so likes you? Oh, they didn't. Oh, they did. Oh, they said that they liked you, but now they're not saying anything to you. Oh, they said that they don't like you, but now they're talking nonstop to you. Or the sudden Mercury retrograde, reverse halt, Mercury direct, now Venus and Sagittarius, fire, burn it down. Don't burn it down. Nothing. The Princess of Cups. It's all about trying to understand the reciprocation of empathy and energy that is the connection and relationships to others, which you can't control that. You can only watch it move. You can only help it move. You can try and filter it and keep it from being toxic. But once someone shits in the punch bowl, Princess of the Palace of the Floods. This is about keeping good boundaries, really keeping those boundaries. So whatever the question was, I would say boundaries are really important. And then the second card,
You got the moon. I can't see it.
I'm
This is
so
validated.
glad
We're
this is recorded. Ruler of flux and reflux. Okay. Whew. Okay. Are you kidding? Okay. What? Last night I had an experience with a banshee at an old Irish cottage. It was crazy. I'm having weird paranormal experiences. Pisces full moon, Anubis. Anubis comes with this card as a deity, which I think is really important, talking about a judgment and oracle, weighing the heart and the brain, the feather, the what is your soul weigh, like light as a feather, stiff as a board. Man, this is Genesis 4:1. Genesis 4:1, and he parted earth from water, and then there was water and water, right? I believe. This is, again, parts of the Sephiroth and the tree of life. It's the moon, absolutely. Ruler of flux and reflux, swallowing and regurgitating and trying to process something that's been very emotional, very sensual, something that you've had to take in and not sure if you want to keep it in.
So my thing to Lucky on this, as this came through from both of us, is kind of trust but verify. There is more to this than you are seeing.
More than meets the eye.
Be aware of that. There's more than meets. There's more than meets the eye with that opportunity. So yeah, dig into that a little bit if you can. I know I'm trying to keep this mentally, so just bear with me, guys, as I go through the chat. We had.
Just keep asking. Whenever I'm doing tarot, people don't be offended that we're not like going in order or skipping. If the chat moves too quickly, just ask again, like, hey.
Well, I got Steph, Kendra, and Pepper, but
okay,
I don't
so
know.
Steph.
Kendra's the only one that asked a specific question. Steph said she had a question, so I'm just going to assume. Oh, okay. Am I going to reconnect with someone that is in and out of my life?
Do I trust
this person?
Oh.
If we do. Okay, so that's a double one, so I'm going to do 2 cards. The first one, are you going to reconnect?
Get 2 of cups or something.
No, it's an interesting one. Not necessarily very definitive. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's 3 of wands.
No. There's a third.
So if you almost see on this card, he's like looking out on the ocean, waiting for something. This is kind of like waiting for your ship to come in. So this is waiting for something to happen. So it's possible that you will reconnect, but I don't think it's going to be like tomorrow. Something, either the reconnection's kind of out there waiting to come, or there's something else that has to happen first. So let me see about the trust. Do you trust this person? If you do. Ten of Wands.
Ooh.
I describe Ten of Wands as the burden card. So I would say that if you reconnect with this person, again, this is just world according to Matt, I would say that there's going to be some type of burden that accompanies your reconnection with him. Whether that is you're not being able to trust that person or something else happening. But there's going to be baggage or a burden with that reconnection if it happens. See what she got.
I can't remember the first card you got. I got 4 of Pentacles.
Ooh, interesting.
4 of Earth. 4 of Lord of Earthly Power. I think of earth, air, fire, water. I think of how this is domestic equality. This is, in essence, home, the beginning building blocks of what it is you want to be doing. It's the idea. It's the envision. It's the, gosh, yeah, my intentions are here. But it's 40%. And it's Lord of Earthly Power. It's quiet. It's not moving yet. There's still more information that needs to be gathered before I would trust, because trust is the ability to predict. So, Steph, I would wait for a little bit more information. All things seem stable, which is great. But Lord of Earthly Power, power dynamic and power struggles have been fluctuating a lot lately. Keep in mind how that might continue to change. Okay. Next card.
Oh, wow.
So this is, it illustrates Pisces, a lot of Pisces energy. But Cups, the 3 of Cups, the 3 of Cups, it's that trifecta, it's a third wheel, that's that 3 again. But this is of emotional energy. This is of water. Lord of Abundance. This might be like a third wheel. Too much love, too much passion, too much infatuation. The idea that Cancer and Pisces, it's emotional. Emotions move and change by nature, which can't be as stable as you want it to be. And things can get messy very quickly. So you want to contain and make sure things are clean and organized. That would be very, very important to do if you want to have success in this relationship. Minimize the emotions, minimize the toxic people, and keep really good boundaries and focus on what's stable. And then expect the unpredictable in the emotional space, because it sounds like a pretty wild ride, which can be great. Yeah. Right, Matt?
Yep. And don't forget, as we mentioned a little earlier here, don't feel bad if you have to like re-enter, because this chat moves fast, so we don't want to like miss people on here. So I think there's still 3 I have, and now 4. So we're gonna do one for Katie. So next up, I had Kendra, who said, "Will I find true happiness and meaning?" I hope I paraphrased
True happiness
that, and meaning in life.
Mm-hmm.
So. Ooh. I like this one, Kendra.
What?
10 of Pentacles.
Oh.
So I view that as, 10 again is completion, and Pentacles is kind of earth and material. So I actually see that as, yes, you will have a very fulfilled, complete. Now, when you said about happiness, if it was water, I would say more, that's emotionally fulfilling. So I see this as it will be very fulfilling, but maybe a little more on the material side of things. So hopefully that makes sense.
And then I can see totally where the energies are going with this because, whoa, I got the Ace of Wands, which when I'm envisioning this cycle of the way things are moving through earth, water, air, fire, and how it's spiraling out, you go from earth to bringing it into fire and the beginning of fire, the spark of fire, the potential of what it is that you want to do, the inception and the spark of, okay, I've thought about it, I felt about it, I've talked about it, and now it's time to actually do it. And that's what the Ace of Wands is, the Kether, the crown, the topmost Lord of the root of the power of fire. I invoke thee! And that you actually are going to spark things into action. So this is usually a creative beginning, stepping stone to like a great project or a building block to something that you're going to do that's going to lead others. So it's kind of a very powerful card. It's the beginning of something. It can also be fiery, destructive. Fire burns. So contain, and be aware as you're doing so that no one gets hurt. Right?
Makes sense. All right, keeping this mentally straight in my head, I believe Pepper is next, and she wanted a general card. So, okay. So I got, just keeping this right, Pepper, Nicole, Katie, Christy. I got 4 up. Ruth. We have 5. All right. General for Pepper. I get for you. Oh. This isn't a bad card. I feel like this is a kind of an uneventful card. 4 of Swords. So I see this as, for me, and again, everybody's got a little bit different. This one generally for me is interpreting as a wait. There will be a time period. Things will happen, but in its due time. So whatever you had in your head or whatever's going on right now on a general reading, I would say that whatever Sarah's got in her card is going to happen, but it's not going to happen immediately. It's going to be somewhere out there in the future. Hopefully you don't get the 4 swords either.
The reason
we're consistent. We're consistent.
The reason that we're laughing is because it might feel like a regression. It might feel like wrench it lifestyle, as my dad might call it, a wrench it reading, where you're reading your book and you have to read 2 chapters back to read 1 chapter ahead because it just doesn't feel like you're absorbing information maybe. And so this action or this fight or this conflict, because air, right, is that soldier, the battle, the stress, the conflict, tornadoes, right? Now tornadoes going through Illinois and Missouri. It's collateral damage, it's reputation, it's discussion, it's communication, it's blah, 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 blah. And to go from 4 stable building block house, structural to 2, it's like, okay, you know what? You leave. Okay. From the top. Take it back from the beginning. Tell me what happened. And that you slow things down. Deduce and minimize. Reduce the variables in the equation. And look at what is coming. Look at what's going. Look at what you can measure. Lord of peace restored. That can happen. That will happen. But you're going to have to take a step back, is how I am going to interpret that. Right? Pepper? Yes.
All right. Just in my head here, Nicole, Katie, Christy, Ruth, and now I believe Swaggy Star. So we're still at 5. If I miss somebody, hop back on here. This is challenging my memory as we get late on a Sunday night. So this is Nicole. It said she was new, so welcome. Thanks for joining us, Nicole. Your card will be Ooh. 7 of Wands. So if you look at this, it's, the woman on top of this like platform with her stick, surrounded by other people with other sticks.
With her
So
stick.
I wand. So I again, I kind of have just like little like keywords I use for all these. I view this card as kind of like the defense or defensiveness card. So I don't know what was possibly your question, but I would take my advice would be take kind of a defensive on whatever is going on. Play a little more defense. There may be some things. I view wand as kind of like action initiative. There might be things coming at you. So yeah, it's not necessarily bad, but whatever I would kind of play defense, and I'm curious as to what Sarah's going to have with her card because that will finish the story. Queen of Wands. Awesome. I like that card, but we'll see what how Sarah describes it.
Right. Anytime I see wands, I'm always thinking that thou shalt not part. Like it's your staff, it's your scepter, it's your wand, it's your tool, it's your whatever phallic thing you have going for you. It's how you are navigating
Fire.
the realm. Fire. It's what it is that you're doing. It's the way in which you are behaving. And the Queen of Wands, man, that's a female doing things. That is a Charlize Theron. That is a fiery, powerful, sometimes seen as a masculine tomboy woman that is capable of doing, navigating, being efficient. So she's probably an independent bitch, right? All of those things that women get labeled if they are playing a masculine role, which I love because this is very much like a Sekhmet, Hathor, very powerful female, Isis, Ishtar kind of energy, a lot of cat, a lot of feline, that it's not meant to be objectified or seductress, but that it is the throne of the flame and that she is, like a Patsy Cline or a Jolene. She is hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. And this would be the Queen of Wands. This is a Lagatha character for sure. And she's not taking any bullshit. And so this could be a matriarch. This could be both the grandmother, the mother, the self, your mother, maiden, crone within you. But that this is that feminine, that divine feminine, and how it's acting out. That makes sense?
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Katie is next.
Katie.
Again, mentally going through this. Katie, Ruth, Christy. I hope I got that right in that order.
That's a serious
Christy
card, Katie.
And Swagger.
Swagger.
All right, so this is
I have a
Katie's
serious
card.
for Katie.
Katie's card. Katie's card. Katie's card. Katie's card. Katie's card. Katie's card is. Ooh.
What'd you get?
The World. Completion. This is like the end of this is the last of all. Maybe aren't familiar with this is the last of all the major arcana. So this is like the whole completion of the entire cycle. So this is I view it kind of similar. Okay, we're back. Hopefully this is going to start being issues again here. This will annoy me. But much like death can be like transitions, I view like the world as the end of a cycle or the end of a chapter. So whatever you kind of had in your head, Katie, for that question, I would say one chapter is ending and you're getting ready to enter a new chapter. And maybe Sarah's will give you some insight into that new chapter.
The world is a vampire. That's what card I pulled, and I kind of pulled right before you, which is why I was like, oh, I have a very serious card. Daughter of the Reconcilers. What a good roller derby name. This there's a snake. There's Haida women. There's indigenous women. There's an androgynous looking masculine king of a character crossed between the Virgo and the universe, and he's pouring Aquarius, but he's shocking things like Thor and Temperance. It is, I always think of a metal worker when I think of Temperance. I think of someone going through hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold and having to be juxtaposed in these harsh environments, one between the other, a roller coaster of high and low, a song with harmony and melody. And it's meant to create something better and stronger, you know, like an orchestra does. It gives it depth, but it doesn't have lyrics. It's I don't know how to describe Temperance in that way. But this is very much a card that just is about enduring the bad for the sake of the good in a very life-changing way. So I like it. I mean, I'm very fond of this card particularly, but I think when you're looking at the alchemy of it and what this character is doing on the card, it's busy, but there's a lot here, you know. So yeah, hang in there. It's like the old cat poster. Hang in there.
Oh my God, Katie, you missed your cards. It was the World, so ending one chapter, starting another one, and Temperance. Which, do you want to do how you describe Temperance in a sentence there, real quick?
Enduring the best and the worst, so that you can be your best.
There you go. All right, so just keeping it mentally, so you guys can is Ruth, Christy, Swagger, and then Christina. I saw it on here. So, all right, here. Let's go to, I think Ruth just wanted a general one. If not, Ruth, you have a little bit of time here to type in here. All right. Ruth, I get Six of Wands. See the little like parade, the little like, this is, I view this as kind of the herald of good news card. So, love. So, okay. If you're asking about, I'm thinking you're going to get good news in the love romance space, Ruth.
I muted myself because I was chewing. I was happy to hear that she said love, because I pulled a card that's kind of specific to love. So if it hadn't been about love, that would have been sad. Well, I guess it wouldn't have been sad. Maybe you like love crocheting or something. Venus in Cancer. This card is Lord of Love, but it's not the lovers, but it is the Two of Cups, which is the lesser arcana's version of romance. It doesn't always have to mean romance. It can be a love or a dance between two entities, two variables, I would say, because that you said for this, it's a relationship. And this takes us to, Psalms 37:4, if you are at all into bibliomancy. And it also gives us 1 to 10 degrees. So it's giving you like a spectrum, but also giving you the number 10, which is going to be important. And for me, that's always October. So that would be the now. That would be the right now. And Venus in Cancer, I'm not sure when Venus was in Cancer. Venus right now is not in Cancer. But love is still in the air. Love is still out there. Love right now is being tempered. So if you're finding yourself in like a dry spell, that's totally normal. Right now is a time to know what it is you love by knowing what you miss.
Yeah.
So if you're not missed or missing.
Christy said she had a question, or she wanted a card, but not a specific question. So a general one for Christy.
Okay.
I get the High Priestess.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Now I take this. The one word I take I try to like summarize these, and again, it might be not the textbook ones, but I view High Priestess as the intuition card and like the gut. And so, whatever you had in your mind, I would say trust your gut and trust your intuition. Correct.
I think it's interesting that you say that. Trust your gut, go with it. Because that would be pretty indicative of the alchemy of the card that I pulled. And I'm wondering, this is one of those where for anybody who gets like a spirit guide reading from me when you're on paranormalsarah.com, this is a clear spirit guide coming through on this card. Like, boom, right in your face. So wondering how you feel about Medusa
Ooh.
and her story, because this is the princess of the rushing winds. And that story of how Medusa came to where she was, the Knight of Air, or Princess of Swords. That knight, page, or jack position, it's the action, the fight for. And this is the fight of air, which is why I think it's fun that it's Medusa. Of course, she's rushing up to that, is it Athena, saying, help me, help me. You know, I'm being raped by the gods because I'm so beautiful. And she goes, oh, I'll help you. And turns her into a creature so vicious that any man who looks upon her turns to stone, and she can never receive affection from a man's touch again. So both be careful what you ask for, but, you know, and whom you're asking, whom you're delegating. This kind of amazing story of being specific to whom it is that you are praising. The Princess of Swords, she is a badass bitch, but the rushing winds can be like reputation. It can be gossip. It can be all of that information, miscommunication. Don't let that get you down. You know, turn on a song or something that's a soundtrack that gets you focused and gets you doing it, and go to battle and be the berserker, the female berserker. That's kind of what this is, which I like. The High Priestess, man. You think about Medusa, that's pretty crazy. I like it. So who's
Christy,
next?
I hope that helped you. Swaggy, and then I have Christina. And so if I miss someone else that asked, please just repost, because my brain has two more. Swaggy asked me,
it's too much.
what are the next steps for the steps of the Taurus guy when it comes to him and me? Okay, so I'm going to kind of just view this as next steps of relationship for Swaggy and the Taurus guy. Ooh. And I get Judgment. So, interesting one. I view Judgment kind of as the thing coming from outside, kind of, and sometimes I've seen it described that you know what the judgment's already going to be. So it's something coming from outside that's going to dictate. And so in your case, when you're asking about the next steps, I would take this as something outside of maybe even you and him is going to happen, that is going to define what the next steps are going to be. And I view it kind of like as a judgment. It's coming down. There's no debate on this. This is the way it's going to be. It's the sentences given. There it is. So let's see what, Sarah's might give more detail as to what that's going to be, but
I don't like it. Okay. I don't like it. I mean, I do like it. I don't want to say I don't like it. I don't like having to interpret this because, of course, I know what I want to say. Anytime someone's like, is this going to be great? Of course, I want to be like, yes, everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be just the way you want it. But what this card, okay, so what card is it? It's a major arcana card again, but it's the sun. So, man, when you talk about judgment, I think about, shine a light on all my bullshit. And so it's out in there. The judgment's there. People can see your scars. There's shadows out of the closet, that kind of language. And so I can see how the sun plays a role in this. You have to have that force, that authoritative center of the galaxy, gravitational, shining a light on everything, Lord of the fire of the world, because literally we cannot live without the light of day. It helps us, organize time and measure. It's the head, but it's also glory. So this is in the Egyptian like Ra, or the dung beetle who rolls the poop from, east to west. The idea that it rises every day with the sun and moves across the horizon, that this goes this way. The sun also is like, don't get sunburned. You're dancing, you're excited that it's daytime, but the day ends. But it also greets us again every morning. It's a cycle. It represents a cycle. And so where there is a cycle, of course, it goes on forever as the song that never ends. But it goes on and on, my friend. So like wherever you're at, you might find yourself in a cycle. It might be a twin flame cycle. It might be a passion cycle. It might be a friend cycle, in which case, whatever cycle you're in, you're going to have to change the cycle if you want to get to a different position or place, and try not to get sunburned in that space, if that makes sense. Make sense? Yeah.
It makes sense to me. I see it as like, it's shining the light on things. You're seeing things as they really are. And since with the judgment call, it's kind of like that's it. You're really seeing it as it is.
Yeah. It's a routine now.
Christina, I'm just scrolling to try to find. I knew you had I didn't think yours was a general one. Okay, I found it. The months of November and December bring for Ivan and me. All right.
I like that name.
What do the next 2 months look like for Christina? And this is the last one that I'm aware of in here. So if we're missing somebody in here, go ahead and put your question in. If not, we're on the last one right at midnight my time. So this should be the last one.
Okay.
So let's
crazy.
see
Okay,
here.
I've got one.
November and December for Christina. Huh. We just kind of covered this one. I get Queen of Wands. So if I'm going to go out of... If I'm going to take this not in a personal space... and put it more in an advice. Well, no, like I'm saying, you could say the queen as a person. I'm going to do this more as a metaphor, which I always go as the queens as more the moon inner.
Because of
like
the
what
yin.
You want to take action oriented. I'm buffering. This is nurturing that fire or wand or action. So this is, I'm just going to wait and see if I'm going to buffer again. This is waiting or nurturing, taking care of actions you want to take. So I am going to assume based on this, and we still don't know what Sarah's card is going to be, that you maybe have plans or ideas of things you want to do in November and December. And so I would say make sure to take care of that and nurture it and see how you actually like feel about it, and kind of go that rate. And I like how she's got it. Now you're frozen with it stuck on your head.
Oh, am I? Good. That's good.
All right, now you're up. Holy shit. That totally changes my reading now. You get the king and queen combo on a romance one. Yeah, that totally changes. That changes my reading. I take back what I said and say that's like a wildly positive. Still nurture your actions and things, but
no, I think everything you said is perfect. Right. The Prince of the Chariot of Fire. This is a man that likes to rule. This is a King of Wands. This is a dictator, but this is someone who is kind of a Bonnie and Clyde as well, it sounds like. Because if you have the Queen and King of Fire and they are capable of doing things together without being destructive, if you're not a toxic force to each other and you can manage to harness each other's passions and keep each other's negative toxic traits away, because we all have them, that if you can work together in a combined force, you'll be unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. However, the Queen and King of Fire together in an argument, passion. fire. You know, I think of the scene from that Charlize Theron and Will Smith movie where they're both superheroes, Herbie Hancock or whatever it was, and they're like fighting. That's like the queen and king of fire fighting. I mean, they're meant to be together and it's great, but maybe if you're not on the same moment, it could be really destructive. So that's going to be kind of based on the taming of the fire, the taming of the shrew. I really get a lot of that William Shakespeare kind of vibe in that.
Yeah.
Taming of the shrew.
Yeah, I see
like
a lot of passion in all directions there. So you fight,
Yeah.
but there's just a lot of intensity. So that's a good thing. Somebody had asked, I want to get the name right. And again, this is the last question I see. So if I missed one, put one back in here. Blue butterfly, pregnant with twins. Up. My trivia, I'm a quadruplet dad. So I know all about multiples, although I did not carry them. We'll see about your
identical or fraternal.
Yes.
Oh, this is funny. The universe is funny.
Ooh. I'm curious what you have.
What'd you get?
I got 7 of Cups, which is kind of the dreams card, if you see that. So I'm going to say it is the option that you wish it is.
You're going to laugh. You're going to fucking laugh.
Wow.
The option that you wish it is, and then you give that to the Hierophant, who is, as it says, the Magus of the eternal gods. This is that in 300 when you go there and you're bribing the gods, the metal in the priest's pocket. This is someone who may or may not be inclined to be guarding the sacred information. And I feel like you already know. I feel like you would know, you would have this intuition, and the Hierophant kind of says that you might be like bribing or wanting a certain thing, and that all cards would point to your ability to have already manifested this, and it kind of already be like a hereditary thing, and that you already kind of be being aware that they're identical. I'm going to say identical. So I think it's really interesting and very magical indeed. I love the Hierophant card. I think it is divine. So they're going to be perfect for each other. Fraternal twins run in my family. So it almost makes me feel obligated to say fraternal because you're asking me and that's what runs in my family. But I immediately felt identical when you asked.
Wow.
So.
All right. Trying to get caught up here. Kendra's asking, the relationship I'm in going to last or is it going to end? I get nervous pulling cards for these things. Like if you get something like 10 of Swords or something, but let me see. Ooh. Kendra, this isn't, you're not going to.
What'd you get?
10 of Wands. We've already covered this one. I call that the burden card. So
Man.
I'm going to say this isn't a happy answer. I'm not going to say whether it's going to last or whether it's going to end, but whatever it is going to be, there's going to be an element of it that's going to be a burden. So, sorry.
Well, and maybe this will help her feel better. Maybe not.
Okay.
So I pulled the 8 of Swords, which, let's face it, no one likes to be in a fight. No one wants to be on the battlefield. No one wants to be fighting or have gossip or have issues with communication, especially 8, which is going to be indicative of like a give and receive. That everything you dish out, you're getting back. Everything you do, you deserve. Everything that you put out there is coming back to you. The 8 is a give and receive of a recycling of energy, and that if you want more romance, you have to be more romantic. Don't just sit and wait for it to come to you. You have to do what it is that you want more of. And this would say that there's the Lord of shortened force. There's exhaustion. I don't have enough energy. The perspective of, well, I'm not sure what the right thing to do is, so I'm not going to do it. And like this fighting, but there's a Gemini force behind this card. And it also says that it is Psalms 118:2, that love will endure. And Psalms 119:159. about how to love self, and that if you can do that, it will expand throughout your relationships. It can, it will, it must, because that's the way love goes. Boom, 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 boom. That's Janet Jackson. So the Eight of Swords. I feel like it can be enduring. It will happen. It will recycle. But right now might be kind of a turbulent time. So step out of the cycle and give more of what you want to give. Get.
All right.
So yeah.
Virgo Queen. My boyfriend and I end up living together in the townhouse or the 3-story home, and when? Be kind of just see what we got. Four of Pentacles. So for me, I call this the clinging card. So clinging to. So I would say whichever one of those options, if someone doesn't want to let go of one place versus the other, so we got Four of Pentacles, Four of Wands. I'm going to say it's the option that somebody does not want to let go of.
That somebody doesn't want to let go of it. Look at these swans pecking. There's love, there's Taurus energy, there's sentimental. I'm going to say something is sentimental here, and so it's creating some havoc in what's going to be possible. People aren't going to do things that are rational because there's some sentimental value here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The number 4. Will you move? Will you? What's the answer? Whatever happens, it will be stable, and you're going to have a home. 4 is very domestic. 4 is, again, those 4 pillars of the house: earth, air, fire, water. It is a foundation, which I will say it's a good sign for a home. But of Wands, this is fire, this is action. It's going to be sooner rather than later, and I don't see it be the move that you expect. It probably will likely be different because there's something sentimental here. It's going to be a sidestep that you're not expecting.
Blue Butterfly asked about birth in May or June. So how I would do this one is, hopefully I don't pull a major arcana. If I pull, since we got Taurus and Gemini, so if I pull in Earth, Air, so Swords or Wands, I would say June. If it's Pentacles or Cups, I would say May. And watch, it's going to be a major arcana and totally screw me up. Pentacles, so I say May. Pentacles. May
27th.
There you go.
That's how I do that.
Nice. Did we get caught up?
We have Eli. Ghostbuster
okay.
Eli said he would really like some guidance. Ghostbuster Eli, and welcome Shannon, Virgo Queen, all of you guys joining us from wherever you're at. We are about ready.
April's got one.
Oh, okay, good. I was going to say, man, we were about ready to close up because, it's Monday tomorrow, but we got to do a few more. We've got to really get going. Eli, the Ghostbuster, just said, I need some guidance right now. I just need some guidance right now. So, Matt, what do you pull first? I'll let you go.
We've really been in sync so far tonight.
I know.
Ooh. I think this is good for guidance, but it's justice.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, before we see what Sarah's is, I view the justice one as, rules, regulations, karma. So think along those lines of, you are the result of the decisions you make. I also take that kind of as stay on the straight and narrow. So if you want guidance, I wouldn't do anything sketchy. I wouldn't do anything out of character. I'd be pretty straight and narrow on your path right now. But let's see what Sarah gets.
So I got a major arcana. And one of the things that I thought was really, really interesting is, in particular, what it was that he mentioned in his phrase of an audience for guidance. That word specifically, so I got the Magician. Right? When I think of the Magician, this is the step up from the Fool. The Fool is that first time doing something. Everything is so new, you're just excited. It's improv. But the Magician, man, this is more like a step up from improv. It's refined improv. The Magician has all the tools in his trade. Nothing has yet been poisoned, and all you need is an audience. The Magician is the right-hand man of the king, making major decisions, seeing serendipitous things and signs, and feeling very connected to everything, past and future, knowledgeable, sacred even. But they're nothing without a king or a court to help. The Magician always really needs that audience or that light, that allegory of the cave. And so the helping of the people is kind of the curse of the Magician, the magus of power. And, the Hermetic order, it's probably going to be, Aleister Crowley. But Rasputin, other kind of darker magicians of the past that have been one to use and manipulate magic. But that's what magicians do. Entertainment, it's not meant to be manipulating you, but it is taking your time. It is tricking you. They're not really cutting the woman in half. And so you have to be able to understand to not take that personally and to see it for what it is. And that's what the Magician is about. Knowing your purpose, and that other people are going to have a range of reactions to you. But if you know what your purpose is and that your intention is to do good, as long as you have an audience to help, you'll be just fine. And you do, as long as you're alive. Right? It's kind of a weird thing to think about. But yeah.
April, I want to make sure I read this again. April's was, what do I need to know about my current love interest? So, what do you need to know? Oh, wow. This is good. The Lovers. So I'm going to take that. We'll see what Sarah gets, but I'm going to take that as a good sign. That I would take that as your current love interest is a very, very good, very strong match for you. Because that is like the best love relationship card, in my opinion.
Okay. Man, that almost makes me feel like, are they too much of a lover though? If you're wanting to, that question of like, I need to know about my.
This is the interesting thing what we're doing. I never, just so you guys know, I never do single card readings. The smallest reading I do is a 3. Right. So this is an interesting one. I would at the view. This is kind of cool because you got the 2 energies here, and there's been a lot of synchronicity, like Dee pointed out, which is really cool. So take whatever you get hers from Sarah as like the other half of this. So this is definitely a positive card, but depending on what she gets, it'll get you more of the full story.
Okay. I can't even. And to think we were going to stop two cards ago.
We do individual calls where we've done this before.
This happens a lot in our calls and in our practice.
Yeah, we've done this before, and it's freaky.
So let's look at this card for a second. Okay, we have Gemini. We've got some archery going on. We've got him like, hey, look at thou dragon that I'm cutting off with my own headless body torso. Yeah, the thing with children of the voice divine. Why is this the Lover's illustration? I'm just having a moment. Man, my intuition is that he's very suave. My intuition is that if you're asking, like, what do I need to know about this person? This person might. I feel like you're asking because you want advice. And so my spirit guides are stepping in and they're like, be aware of the differentiation between love and sex, affection and arousal. I'm giving you a hug because I'm here to support you and I'm showing you that I'm giving you a hug, or I'm giving you a hug because I'm trying to come on to you and it's not the appropriate time and I don't know when the appropriate time is. I feel like the lovers is always about, the romantic moderation of yin and yang, but children of the voice divine, man, this is also like twin flame, soulmate, the capability of doing amazing things, children being present in the equation if you're not careful. Zaindiel is the angel here, the dragon being slain. It's like, man, when you have found that person, you feel unstoppable. It's a balancing act. And as social creatures, we want that in a relationship, something healthy. But one and one does not make one. It's weird, right? One and one makes two. The lovers. There's two people involved here. So I always think about that. And I think about how it's the number 6 in the deck. So it's like 6 divided by 2, right? And it's like 3 in the trifecta, and the mind, body, spirit times 2. And I'm just always looking at the math of it. I feel like this is just being aware of the love, because there's going to be love compounded here and it might be very complicated. So we just want to be clear on what the love is. But very good. Very good. Call me the pessimist in that one.
That's all right. So Purple Moonlight was asking a similar question here about a relationship, I think, in the next 3 months. So let's see what we get here. Six of Pentacles. So I know, like in the Rider-Waite deck, it's it's like the change going into the person's hand. I view this as like the help card. So one of you is she's showing the tarot deck for people that were asking.
A few people had asked what deck I used. So I was like,
so I view this as the help card. So in the next 3 months, and I forget exactly how you phrased your question. I'm pulling back up to see it. What specific changes are coming in for my relationship with my boyfriend in the next 3 months? So I see this as, since it's the help card, I see this almost as, and if you see on this, you see the scales. I would watch. I almost see, or it would predict that some imbalance in the relationship could be coming the next 3 months, whereas one is pulling a little more weight or pulling a little more into the relationship than the other. So just be aware of that and see what Sarah's card does to round that out. But that's what I would view it as, that with that scale and everything. Just view the balance that and how that might shift in the next 3 months. I love when this is like this.
This is, I think, the second or maybe third time it's done this tonight, where it's the same category, the same even number, only in half. So this wrench it step again, this deducing. So you have the 3 of Pentacles, and this is asking us, the Lord of the material work, to understand day and night, to understand the third wheel and the delegation of our thoughts, the space in between, the gray. This is the 3 of Earth. So you have a little bit of Mars touching Faith, which I know Mars, right? That's a fire sign, so it doesn't make sense to be on the Pentacles, but it's pushing that beginning part of the material work. It's when your compost bin starts to catch fire, right? It's when there's not really anything there. It doesn't look like there's anything there yet, but there's a lot of things brewing. And so it's almost like, okay, go back to the drawing board, into that place that you were really getting that feeling of, oh yeah, we added the yeast, we added that variable, that third variable that kicked things into momentum, and go back to that space to initiate where you are now. It's that humble reminder. Go back and send out the thank yous. Thank you for initially investing in me. We're now on to phase 2. And it's like, it's not really wrench it as much as it is go back and siphon from the source, so that you can continue to grow in abundance from the places you know were a good start.
Hopefully that makes sense. Purple Moonlight. Shannon asked for a card. Said, I know I'm in late, but can I get a card? Absolutely. You're the last one up right now. So
Let's do the last one. Can I be the bitch and call it? Only
yeah,
because my dog has gone high.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say like yeah.
But I
So
love doing this.
One, guys.
We should do this monthly, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. This has been a lot of fun.
I love this and watching how the cards communicate.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
D said, "Is money an issue?" Dang, I want to answer that too. What's wrong with the illustrated version?
Tonight. And so I don't know what your specific question was going to be, Shannon, but I got, again, the 10 of Wands. I think it's the third time I've pulled this. I view this as the card of burdens. So I'm seeing that, see what Sarah's does to round that out. But I see something is, so I would just call this totally generic, not knowing the context of your question. I would say that something is burdening you.
Well, what I think is interesting is that you have gone back from the whole deck each time, whereas I am pulling from the same deck and just putting it under the bottom. I've only shuffled once, and I just keep pulling the cards and trusting the order of it. So I've noticed that we've done that a little bit differently, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so you had the 10 of Wands?
10 of Wands.
It's done this before, too. Yeah, I'm not frozen. I'm thinking to myself, like, this is interesting.
Ace of Pentacles. Interesting. Yeah, so we've had the 10 followed by the ace, so the end followed by a beginning.
Yeah, it's showing kind of this cycle, and I've underlined Earth because Lord of the root of the powers of Earth. The Ace of Pentacles is that beginning seed. It's the planting of a seed, and it's the thought, the intention. And you kind of have your Knights Templar cross here and this, that which is sacred, and making sure that you keep that safe. It's interesting when I think of, I guess the best way is I think of the Neverending Story. And so if you've not seen that movie, it kind of sucks. But, after the nothing has consumed almost everything in that story, and the movie is ending, and you're like, what the fuck? Is this a bad ending? What's going on? And then the princess comes out and she says, well, I have a grain of sand. And that's all you need to start creation again, is just a wish, just the want to do it. And that if you wish, then Fantasia will be everything it was before and even greater. And it's this idea that when you empty your glass out, like, you can fill it with anything you want. And so I really like this card for that reason. It's hard to differentiate. It's hard to hold that grain of sand. It's hard to think that one little wish could do all of that. But that's all it takes, is a little bitty root, a little bitty seed. And so when I think of the Ace of Pentacles, that's kind of what's going on here. It might be in a chaotic space, the 10 of fire and all of that. But if you can just grasp on and keep that granule of hope and wish from this point forward, it's going to be great. It's going to be better than it was. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. The never-ending story. And don't forget, if you're watching the beginning of that, I'm always interested that, they did the slow motion ink and water for the clouds and thunderstorms. So I'm always thinking of that as I do B-roll footage for stuff that, man, back then they were being so creative. They had to be creative in that kind of stuff. And the cool never-ending story scenes were so neat. So anyway, yeah. And as Pepper says, as we head out here, guys, don't forget, every Tuesday, Matt and I do our astrology and alchemy, and it's at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we'll be there this week, finishing out October. And it seemed like, man, this was a lot of fun tonight. So I think we should do this more often.
I'm totally game for it.
Yeah,
totally experienced. Honestly, guys, this was my first time ever pulling live cards. So this could have been a giant crash and burn. Yeah, I've only ever done readings
like
I've only ever done readings and then communicated back out to people and stuff. This is my first time ever like live on the spot. So
Dang, you did a great
yeah,
job. You did a
I
great
feel pretty good.
job.
I feel good
Yeah.
about it. So
You
yeah,
should. Yeah, we should do this more often. You guys let us know how you
absolutely.
feel and let us know if we should do it more often. And if you would like to, don't forget, sign up for free notifications. We're going to be doing a tarot workshop. We're going to be doing some cool things this fall as the weather gets colder for you guys to stay focused and smart inside and safe, learning with your brain. And so I hope you'll join us. And at the very least, join us on Tuesday for some astrology. And yeah, if they can get a hold of us anyway, right? On YouTube, on
Yeah,
Instagram, on Facebook, all the things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wherever, however you found us, give us a like or a thumbs up. That would appreciate, or subscribe. And some people were talking about readings. Paranormal Sarah's got a website, Paranormal Sarah, and you can find me on Autumn Moon Astrology or our Astrology and Alchemy Facebook pages. And yeah, reach out to us. We'd be happy to do readings for you.
You got it. And as Dee said, stay hydrated, make good choices. And the best choice you could make this week is we'll see you Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on
Yeah.
Astrology and Alchemy with Paranormal Sarah and Matt. And until then, guys, have a great week.
Yeah. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.